Oh, step on a crack, break your mum's back.
I love my mom.
Step on a crack, break a sex offender's back. Oh.
Hello everyone, Pantoufleee here today for a new review concerning the WZ-1110, which is the tier 8 from the Chinese heavy branch. There are several things to understand about this tank, because I remember back in the days there were a lot of controversy concerning this tank. Most people thought it needed enough. That's what Wargaming did actually. It was really a couple of updates ago, maybe at least 10 or 11. But yeah, in the current meta, I don't think this tank is broken anymore. It's just a fine one, and you might want to keep it in your garage, except if you have all those broken premium tanks that are doing the same job but way better. For example, the WZ-112-2. But we're not here to discuss about premiums. We are here to focus on the Chinese. So, WZ-1110, the gun, average aiming time, average DPM, good gun dispersion, average reload time, average penetration, average damage. Literally everything is average about the gun except the fact that your gun dispersion is fine, really fine. Now the problem is probably its gun depression, which is only 6 degrees, which makes this tank horrible on hilly terrain. You need to know that before jumping into the battlefield, because if you don't know how to handle a gun that doesn't have enough gun depression, good luck trying to find your way to the victory on the battlefield. Now, for the turret, it's a good one, especially concerning the mobility, because you have 31 degrees per second. And if you combine that with this mobility engine, which is a good one, you will go around 35, maybe 40 kilometers per hour, which is actually really good for a tier 8 heavy tank. You're quite mobile. The cool thing is, with this tank, if you take a look at the old turn rate, it's not as good as the turret turn rate, but it still does the job. The cool thing is your top speed is amazing, but your turn rate is a little bit below average concerning all tier 8 heavy tanks. And that's what Wargaming intended to do, because that's the exact same problem we have on the WZ. You have an amazing top speed, but a really, really bad turn rate. That's pretty much what the WZ-1110 has to offer to you in terms of penetration, of gun mobility, etc. So it's a combination, actually. It's a combination between this mobility and this gun. But now let's take a look at the armor. The armor profile on this tank is quite average if we compare it with Russian heavy tanks, of course, because that's simply a copy-paste. That's the whole Chinese tech tree for you all. You have the traditional cupolas here that are easily penetrable as long as you manage to penetrate them, because let's face it, it's quite hard to get those cupolas on the tank, especially if you're using your 6 degrees of gun depression. You can still get them, don't mind me, but it's quite hard. Most of the time people will try to get you straight into the upper part of your hull. So there is something important to understand. You have a pike nose. What does it mean? It means that if you try to angle your tank, you're going to make it easier for your enemies to penetrate. With this tank, you want to stay straight in front of your opponents most of the time. Angle it only when you have to. We have the traditional weak spot, which is the lower part of the hull as well, but as long as you hide it and you stay straight in front of your opponent, that's a pretty strong tank. Not against most tank destroyers, because as you can see, your armor profile is quite low on the turret when it comes to tank destroyers using gold shells, but at least for the rest of the tank it should be fine. Of course, we have the traditional easy to penetrate sides, easy to penetrate rear, so make sure with this tank not to angle too much as well, because it's quite easy to penetrate. Do not try to side scrape. Always stay in all down as long as you can, and if you can be in all down, at least hide the lower part of your hull and show only this part of the tank, not angled, of course. Concerning the playstyle now, it's either you're on the heavy side and you try to hull down as long as you can, of course, and make sure every time you're reloading to wiggle a little bit your turret to avoid taking shots into the cupola. Or you use your mobility and you use yourself as a support for mediums and you try to push hard on medium side. as I told you, you don't have the best gun depression ever, and on this map, without gun depression, we are gonna struggle a lot. I decided to go on the medium side here simply because that's what every team usually do. Not because it's a better placement for myself, but just because it's better overall to play there as a team. As you can see, our great mobility allows us to be there first, even before the mediums, and it allows us to know that there is nobody. We know they are in the town, and I decided not to lose any time and go directly into the town, finding an aggressive position. But before that, I see that I can sneak a shot on the XP, and that's what I did. Perfect shot here, quite lucky considering the distance and my gun dispersion, but it worked, so who cares? So we gotta close the distance right now. I want to remind you that before being a sniper, you are a heavy tank, and as every single heavy tank in this game, or at least most of them, you have to take advanced position in order to support your team. So here we go, not in the best position, knowing you only have 6 degrees of gun depression, but at least I'm circling them. I know we have a lot of heavy tanks in front, so I don't mind. I go there, sneak an HE shot, and now there's the VK coming back, probably to try to sneak a shot. I'm trying to show my turret only, which allowed myself to make him bounce and sneak a shot as well. If you take a look at the map, you see that my heavies on the right side of the map are probably gonna be outnumbered, so I decided, hey, you know what, I need to help them as fast as possible, because if I don't, we are gonna lose 3 tanks for nothing. So here I go, using my mobility to try to get into a good position. I'm trying to see if an HE can work on the SU. It doesn't. I went for the track, but I did not manage to untrack the guy, and here I am helping them. I need to first focus on the SU, but I don't want to take a useless shot. That's why I decided to stay in the back, and it feels like it was a good idea because my mate allowed himself to kill that guy. I'm not taking any shots here because there is the M103, he's in a good position to make them bounce, so I'm just waiting in the back. But now, things are gonna get spicy. As you can see, the M103 is forced to move because he's getting circled by the VK, so I decided, hey, you know what, in order to protect my M103, which is all down against the T32, so probably not being able to get penetrated, I'm gonna focus first on that VK to prevent him from being able to shoot and to actually go on the M103. I managed to sneak some shots, but the guy's stubborn. He really wanted to get his M103, but he died in the process. Now we only have to help the M103. We go for a first shot, allowing the M1 to destroy the T32. Now it's only a matter of time before we win, or at least it seems like it's just a matter of time before we win, because there is that XP that is nearly a one-shot. They also have a tortoise, we don't really know where the guy is, and the Sternberg, which is a one-shot as well. Helped by my mate, we decided to push that XP. That's logic. It's a 3 versus 3 situation. There is one of them that is isolated and low life, so it's our right and duty to go on him and destroy him. That's what we did. We killed the guy, securing our first kill. There is the stand B there. He sneaks the first shot with heat shell. Is he gonna sneak the second one? No, because the M103 managed to get him out. Now it's a 3 versus 1 situation against the tortoise that was in the back. We know where the tortoise is gonna be because he was put in on the map earlier. He's gonna be on my right now. And you're gonna see the main weakness of the armor right now, because from this ground here it's impossible for me to hide my lower plate. And oh boy, are you getting completely destroyed when you can't hide that lower plate. We tried to sneak a lot of shots on the tortoise. Luckily for us, he bounced 2 times because he shot the tracks instead of my actual lower plate. We sneak in another shot. Are we gonna die before we manage to kill him? Here I go, sneaking my shot, going for an APCR to be sure not to die. And I nearly died in the process here because I was exposed, or at least my hull was exposed. That's why with this tank you always need to hide that plate. If you don't, you are gonna get wrecked. We ended up doing a pretty good game because it was my first victory of the day with the tank, and we managed to pull out an ace tanker and steel wall. So that's pretty much how you want to play your WZ-1110. I understand why people don't like the tank because it requires a specific playstyle for a heavy tank, but as soon as you know how to master it, it's gonna be a great tank to play with. If you enjoyed, feel free to subscribe, like and share, and I'm gonna see you soon for a new video. See ya guys.